Right. So in the previous session, we had a discussion on Maven tool, and we know like Maven is a kind of build tool, a Java-based build tool, and we also understood some Maven commands like how actually the build process goes and all. So we have seen like some build commands, some Maven commands like Maven package. Okay, there are some series of commands like Maven validate. All the Maven commands will start with the MVN. So we have commands like MVN validate, MVN package, MVN compile. Like that, we have some series of commands we need to run for building the source code and all. So that we have understood. After that, like we have also understood like what is the purpose of MVN install command. So if we remember, there is a command like there are some series of commands like MVN validate. There are some series of commands like MVN validate, MVN compile. Okay. Similarly, then we have a command called MVN test. We can also run MVN test, MVN package. And after that, the last command that we have seen is MVN install. We understood the purpose of MVN install. Suppose if I run MVN package command, usually the jar package, what artifact will be generated. If I run MVN package, the artifact will be generated. So where we will find where we can find that artifact is like we will find some target folder. We'll be having some target folder. Inside the target folder, we can see some jar file. So usually that will be called as artifact. So when we will be seeing that output, like when we run MVN package command. So jar file will be created and we will find the jar file inside the target folder. Similarly, there is a command called mvn install. If I run mvn install command, usually what happens is the same copy of jar file, whatever the artifact that is generated inside the target folder, the same copy of jar file will be found inside .m2 local repository. So, like we have already understood, usually when we install Maven, there will be a default Maven local repository. The default Maven local repository is .m2. So we can find this path. And whenever we run mvn install command, the same copy of jar file usually will be stored in the local repository of this one. So there is a path called .m2. If you go to the .m2 path, you'll see that the jar file will be stored here in the .m2 folder. Like you may get a doubt like why it is stored, why we are running install command and all. It is up to you. If you want to store the jar file as a backup, if you want to store the artifact as a backup in your local Maven repository, then we will run mvn install command. Okay. So like there is one more command usually. So hope you understood the purpose of mvn install also. There is a command called mvn deploy. There is a command called mvn deploy. So we use this command to push these jar files, whatever the artifacts that are generated. So we can push all these jar files by using mvn deploy command. So usually once an artifact is generated, it is our responsibility to store the artifact somewhere. It is our responsibility to store the artifact somewhere. So far we have learned Git. So far we have learned the tools like Git and GitHub, right? So we have understood what is the purpose of GitHub tool, and we have also understood like what is the purpose of Maven tool, why we are learning Maven and all. So usually when we apply Maven tool, the output of Maven, like once we apply Maven tool, what we are expecting is like we are expecting artifact. So once the artifact is generated, we need to deploy that artifact into some server. The earlier approach is like we used to deploy that artifact into some servers like some web servers like Tomcat, JBoss and all. But now we are deploying into the Kubernetes, right? All the microservices we are deploying into Kubernetes. So before we deploy anywhere, either we deploy into some server or either we deploy into the Kubernetes. That's all based on the requirement. But usually we'll store the artifacts in some repositories like Nexus. We have some artifact storage repositories. Okay, we have some artifact storage repositories, either the jars that are being generated. You see here, whatever the artifact that is generated, or suppose if we are going to convert the artifact into Docker image, even if we are going to convert the artifact into Docker image, everything, okay, the storage part. So everything will be stored into the artifact repositories called Nexus or JFrog. There are tools like Nexus. I'm just telling you some examples. Like Nexus is a kind of repository. Nexus is a kind of artifact repository where we can store our artifacts. Similarly, JFrog is also a tool where we can store our artifacts or Docker images, similar kind of things, storage purpose only, backup. So today I'm generating a jar file. So tomorrow maybe I might require this jar file to deploy. So that's the reason why we will be storing, we'll be keeping all these things as a backup in some repositories. So those repositories are like Nexus. Okay, you can see the tools like Nexus. We have tools like Nexus, JFrog. All these are the artifact repositories where we can store our jar files or Docker images as a backup. Anyhow, we will come to the Nexus tool. We'll discuss. We'll also see how to install Nexus and how can we push the jars into the Nexus, all those things. But before we go, we need to have some clarity on Maven. Yes, Maven, we understood clearly like what are the things that we are going to run on by using Maven and all. We should have the source code. Once we have the source code cloned, then we are going to apply some Maven commands. That is fine. Okay. So let's understand. Let's go into the tool called Jenkins. Okay. We will also understand like today. See, whatever the approach that we have seen in the previous session, that was the old approach. Like earlier, people used to build the source code by using those commands. People used to run those commands for building the source code. But now the things have changed, right? So now we are now organizations started using CI/CD tools. Organizations started using CI/CD tools. You might aware of CI/CD tool. So can you tell me what are the tools that we have learned so far? Just for clarity, like what are the tools that we have learned so far? We have learned as a part of DevOps, like we started with Linux commands, right? We started with basic Linux commands. After that, we started with GitHub. Okay, we understood like GitHub is a source code management tool, and the next one is Maven. Maven is a build tool. So now we are going to understand a tool called Jenkins. Jenkins is what? Jenkins is a CI/CD tool. Jenkins is a CI/CD tool. Can anyone tell me what is the CI/CD? Full form of CI/CD? It is like continuous integration and continuous delivery. CI/CD stands for continuous integration and continuous delivery. We'll try to understand the meaning of CI/CD, of course. Before that, let's try to install the Jenkins and let's try to know some information about the Jenkins. Jenkins is a CI/CD tool, we know that. Okay, what is the purpose of this one? So this is the tool, like we can say, like this is an automation tool that is driving the entire all the DevOps tools. So it is a kind of automation tool. So once we install Jenkins and once we configure a job, but that Jenkins job will perform the automation. That Jenkins job will perform the tasks in an automated way. And we will also see like why the Jenkins is called as an automation tool and all. See, it's not like an automation tool, but usually it is called as a CI/CD tool. For our understanding, I'm trying to say like it is an automation tool, but usually it is called as a CI/CD tool, continuous integration and continuous delivery. So even if someone asks you what is Jenkins, we should be able to answer in such a way like it is a CI/CD tool. So we are going to configure some jobs inside this Jenkins. We are going to configure some jobs inside the Jenkins. So with the help of the job, we'll be performing some automating. We'll be performing some tasks like we are going to automate the tasks by configuring the jobs and all. Okay, let's understand how to install Jenkins first. So hope you understood like Jenkins is a CI/CD tool. It is a kind of automation tool We are going to automate the tasks by using this particular tool. And let's understand what are the basic things that we need for installing Jenkins. Let's start with the installation of Jenkins. And let's understand what are the basic things that we require for installing Jenkins. So Java is mandatory. Java is required to install Jenkins. Okay. Java is required. And so why Java is required is because Jenkins is a tool that is designed based on Java only. Jenkins is a tool that is designed based on Java. So basically, without Java, we cannot install Jenkins into any of the Linux servers. Either if you want to install into the Windows operating system also, if you want to run Jenkins in Windows environment also, definitely we should have Java in it. We should have Java installed in it. So let's talk about the prerequisites. The prerequisites are like Java should be installed. At the same time, we are also making sure that Maven is available. There is a advantage like suppose Maven should be there. Suppose if you are going to build the Java projects. Suppose if you are going to work on Java projects, then we need to make sure that Maven should also be available in the same server where you're installing Jenkins. Okay. So Java is required, Maven is required. At the same time, suppose if I want to clone the repository, either it is a public repository or private code repositories. If you want to clone any kind of repositories, definitely Git is also required. Git is a source code management tool. So we will also install Git package. Try to understand, we will be installing Java, Maven, Git, all these packages in some tool. And then we will be installing Jenkins package. Let's see how we are going to do it. These are the things, these are the requirements that we should have. Anyhow, while installing Maven also, while setting up the Maven also, we understood what are the tools, what are the other packages that we have installed. We have installed Git and Java. Whenever we, when we say the last session, when we set up the Maven, I think we have installed Java and Git also. So at the same time, in the same way, for the installation of Jenkins, we need Java as a prerequisite. And we are also going to install like Maven as well as Git. And once we install and once we go through the job and all, you will understand what is the advantage of installing Git and Maven. Okay. The purpose of Git is mainly for cloning the repository. Maven is mainly for applying Maven commands for building the source code, for building the Java source code. Of course, we should be aware, right? So Maven is a Java-based build tool. Maven will not work for any other kind of technologies. Maven is a Java-based build tool. So we will be using this Maven tool only for the Java-based projects. Okay. Let's see. Okay, let's connect to the server. Let's connect to one Linux server and let's try to install Jenkins. So what I'm doing is like I'm going to launch one instance in the AWS cloud. I'm naming the server as Jenkins and I will be launching it. And usually we can take t2.micro instance type, but not sure whether it supports for the installation of all these packages. For now, I'm going to try with t2.micro only. If it is not working out, then we will go with some other one. Okay, t2.medium, something else. I'm just selecting the key pair. I'm going ahead and launching the instance. Anyhow, you all know you are very much familiar with launching the instances and all, connecting to the instance. So why we are doing every time launching an instance and why we are connecting to this instance? Because we need a Linux server, right? As I told you, almost all the DevOps tools installation, DevOps tool setup will be done in a Linux environment for more security reasons. So that's the reason why we are trying to set up everything in a Linux environment. And let me refresh this and see. Yes, Jenkins, I just launched an instance and I've given the name for the instance as Jenkins. And let me try to connect to the server now. I'm trying to connect to the server. Once I connect to the server, I will try to install the packages, like whatever the packages that we discussed. Okay, what are the prerequisites that we have seen so far? Yes, I have got connected to the server now. And the very first command that we used to run after connecting to the server for more privileges, usually, if I want to install any of the packages, okay, any of the packages or softwares, definitely we need more privileges. So with the help of sudo su hyphen command, we'll get more privileges. I just ran sudo su hyphen command so that the username you can see here, switch it as a root. Earlier the username is UC2, now the username is root. And let me start with Java first. And I would like to install Java 11. So please remember, like whenever you are installing Jenkins, don't go beyond the JDK 11 version. So please make sure that you are using JDK 11. Okay, if you go beyond the JDK 11, maybe Jenkins will not be properly configured. So try to use JDK 11 version whenever you are setting up the Jenkins and all. So how to install Java? How to install Java as per our customized version? Suppose if you want to install Java particular version like 8, 11, 17, I have told you, right? So you can go to the Google and search like Java download. And here we have one website, like I told you, right? So there are many places, like there are many websites where you can go and download the Java, but only few websites allow us to download without signing. So there is a website like OpenLogic. You can go to the OpenLogic and you can search for the Java version which you require. So I'm selecting Java version 11. For the Linux environment, architecture is 64-bit. Java package is JDK. Okay. I'm selecting my JDK version here, and I'm going to copy this RPM package for now. Copy the link address. What I'm doing here, I'm just copying the link address and I'm going to paste it over here. So first I'm trying to download the Java package and I'm going to install it. Okay. So let me download this Java package. Once Java is downloaded, we can run a command called yum install. So this package is, see, we are downloading this wget command. Wget is also a Linux command to get something from the internet, to download something from the internet. If you want to download something from the internet, we'll use wget command. Wget is also a Linux command. Okay. So how can we check whether the package is downloaded or not? By using ls command. So I'm just running ls command to see whether the package is downloaded or not. Yes, we have the package available and I would like to install this package. Can anyone tell me, like, what is the command, we will be using for installing this one? You can simply run yum install, sudo yum install, and you can copy this package as it is. It is asking for the confirmation whether you want to proceed with the installation or not. I'm just giving yes and pressing enter so that it will be proceeding for the installation. Once Java is installed, we can verify the Java version by running a command like java space hyphen version. Yes, Java is done. Java is installed. How to verify whether Java is installed? We can run by using java space hyphen version. Got it. And you can see the Java version installed here is JDK 11. Okay. Open JDK version 11. Similarly, we will also install Maven and we'll also install Git also. Okay. How to install Git and Maven? So you can install both the packages at a time. Let me show you how can we install multiple packages at a time. Sudo yum install Git as well as Maven -y. So what is the use of -y? Why we are using -y here? So even without -y also we can run the command, but if I do not use -y, again it will ask for the confirmation. It will just download the packages. It will just download the packages, both Git and Maven, and again it will ask for the installation. It will ask for the confirmation while installing. So to avoid that, I am just giving -y here itself. I am confirming here itself. Once both the packages got downloaded, I am asking to proceed with the installation. Sudo yum install git maven -y. Let's see here, both the packages will be installed at a time. So we can run a command like we can install multiple packages at a time. Just now we have seen no sudo yum install git maven -y. So I'm trying to install both the packages at a time. I'm giving my confirmation in the command itself by using -y flag. That's it. Both the maven and git packages were installed. How to verify whether the git package is installed or not? We can verify by using a command like git space --- version. And we can also see the maven. We can also check maven by using mvn space. All the maven commands will start with mvn. Please remember, all the maven commands will start with mvn. So maven is installed. Okay, maven is installed. Git is installed, and we have also installed. Okay, we have installed Java. If you see here, now we are going to we will be trying to install. Okay, let me clear the screen, and we are going to install Jenkins now. How to install Jenkins? We have the prerequisites. We have all the prerequisites. We have the prerequisites like Git, Maven, and Java. And let's try to install Jenkins. How to install Jenkins? So let's go to the Google, and there is an official website for Jenkins. Like you can go to Jenkins.io. Please go to Jenkins.io website. And here we'll see one download option. Can you see here? This is the download option. Just click on download. And if we go here in this particular website, we can see different versions of Jenkins. If you want to download Jenkins, you can select any particular version. So I'm just going with this version. So it is just asking like whether you want to download. We need to select particular version. And usually Jenkins will be downloaded in the form of a WAR package. Can you see? I'm just clicking on it. It is see the WAR file is getting downloaded, but we should not download this into our local machine. So how can I download this into my Linux environment? So this is the website. If I go in, so in this particular website, I can see the packages available. This is the WAR package that actually I need for installing Jenkins. So what I will do is I will just give a right click on it. I'll copy the link address. I'll be going here. What is the command we use here? What is the command we use? wget. The command we use is wget, and I'm going to paste the URL. And if you see here, the package is getting downloaded. The name of the package is jenkins.war. So this is what is required actually. For the installation of Jenkins, you need to install a package called jenkins.war. War package. We came across already. What is the package and what is the artifact and all earlier. Okay, but these are all the packages. Like we have seen jar package, Java archived file, war package in the sense like web archived file. So if this is a package, what does this package contain? Either jar or var. If we say that is a package, what does the package contain? Package contains all the necessary files, all the necessary programs, and all the necessary libraries that are required for running one application. So we're not going to have the entire source code. So we are just going to have the necessary libraries and binaries to run one particular application. Similarly, if I'm talking about Jenkins.war, this Jenkins.war is having all the files to install this Jenkins software. Okay, so I have the Jenkins.war package available in my local machine. You see, I'm just running ls command. Once I run ls command, I can able to see the Jenkins.war package is available here. And how to install it now? We can install the Jenkins.war package by running a command called java-jar. So if you have the var package, and if you want to extract the var package, we can run a command like java-jar jenkins.war. So simply I'm running a command called java-jar jenkins.war. So once I run this command, the jenkins.war package gets extracted and Jenkins gets installed into our machine. This is the command, okay? How to extract the var file? So var file can be extracted by using a command called java space -jar. Java space -jar jenkins.war. This is the command I'm using. I'm just running this command to see whether the file is getting extracted and Jenkins is getting installed into my machine. Okay, you see here, Jenkins is successfully, you see here, please use the password. See, it's still the installation is not yet done. Installation is not yet done. You can see here. It is saying that Jenkins initial setup is required. An admin user has been created and a password generated. You need to use the following password to proceed with the installation. This is the password, okay? We should have this password to proceed with the installation, okay? Fine. I have installed Jenkins in my server. In which server you have installed Jenkins? Do you know in which server you have installed Jenkins? I have launched a server with the name called Jenkins. And if you see, what is the IP address? What is the private IP address of this server? This is the private IP address of this server. As I told you, each and every server you are launching will have a private IP address as well as a public IP address. This is the private IP address. So to make you understand very clearly, the purpose of public IP is for external communication. If this particular server, okay, if the external communication needs to take place, so that will happen through this public IP. The internal communication will take place with the help of this private IP. Anyhow, we will understand. Okay, in the further discussions, we will be understanding what is the use of this public IP and private IP. But for now, you see here where can we see the private IP here? You go to the instances, you can see the private IP address. Okay, now I have installed Jenkins and all fine. How to access the Jenkins? How to know whether my Jenkins is up and running or not? If any particular package is installed, if any web server, see now for now, let's talk about Jenkins only. Now I have installed Jenkins in the server, in this particular server, okay? I just wanted to check whether the Jenkins is up and running or not. How to do that? We always try to access by using the public IP. You see here, this is the public IP. I'll take the public IP. I'll copy the public IP over here in the browser. And we'll also use the port number. We need to use the port number. Without port number, we cannot connect. Why? Because if the port number is not enabled, if the port number is disabled, we cannot connect. So anyhow, what are all these ports and all? Okay, what is an inbound roles? What is outbound roles? What are the inbound roles and what are the outbound roles? And usually in on-prem, we'll talk about we will talk about the concept of firewalls. So firewall is something like the port that is used for the communication purpose. So firewall in the sense like we use some port for the connection, for communicating with a particular one. So if I want to communicate with any of the particular one, so I just need the port number. Without the port number, I cannot be able to communicate. So that's the reason we need to know the port number, the default port number, as well as the port number that should be enabled for that particular tool. So now let's see here, if we don't know what is the Jenkins default port number, see, I have installed Jenkins, but I don't know what is the default port number of Jenkins. So I'm just searching in the Google, what is the default port number of Jenkins? The default port number of Jenkins is 8080. This is the port number, okay? Meaning this port number must be enabled. This port number must be enabled in the server. Otherwise, we cannot access the Jenkins. This firewall, this port number, if the port number is not enabled, okay? If this port number is not enabled, we cannot access Jenkins. Anyhow, let's try to access with the help of default port number called 8080. But still, if we could not able to access the Jenkins, if we could not able to access the Jenkins, we need to enable the port number. We need to understand that the port number is not enabled. Go to the instance where we can enable the port number. You go to the instance running. Just click on the server. Just click on the instance ID of this particular server. Slowly come down. You will see something called security. You will see some tab like security over here. So just click on the security. Under the security, you will see security groups. Click on security groups. Under security groups, you will see some inbound rules, outbound rules, etc. Inbound rules, outbound rules tags. So inbound rules are nothing but the port numbers that we are allowing for the incoming traffic. For the incoming traffic, the outbound rules are nothing but the firewalls that we open for the outgoing traffic. So we need to assume like there will be an incoming traffic to our server and there will also be an outgoing traffic from our server. If Jenkins is the server that I've created, if someone is trying to access my server, that is nothing but an incoming traffic. If I am trying to access this Jenkins now, I am trying to access the Jenkins now. How I am accessing? With the help of public IP and the port number. With the help of the public IP as well as the port number. This is the one I'm using, right? With the help of this public IP and port number, I'm trying to access the Jenkins. So can tell me like whether it is an incoming traffic to our server or outgoing traffic. It's an incoming traffic only. Why? Because the people from the outside, they're trying to access the server with the help of public IP. Usually, it will be called as a incoming traffic. So if the incoming traffic, if I am not able to access, so definitely it's the matter of inbound rules only. You need to look at the inbound rules, whether the ports are opened or not. We need to check. Inbound rules, I'm going to the inbound rules, just edit the inbound rules. Once you edit the inbound rules, you can see by default, one port is opened here, that is SSH. So anyhow, SSH port, which is used for connecting to the Linux server. This port is used for connecting to the Linux server. If this port is not enabled, we cannot connect to the Linux server. If this port is not enabled, we cannot connect to the Linux server. Okay, I'm just adding the rule. I am going to select all traffic for now. I am allowing all the traffic. I'm not selecting any. I'm not keeping any restrictions for now. I'm selecting anywhere IPv4. Try to understand. If I'm selecting all traffic over here, it means I'm opening all the ports. I'm selecting all traffic, meaning I'm opening all the ports. Anywhere IPv4, I'm going to save the rules. Anywhere in the sense like anyone in the world with any kind of access, okay, they can able to access this server. Anyone in the world can able to access this server. If I keep any all traffic anywhere IPv4, anyone in the world can able to access this server. I'm saving this rule. You can see the difference now. Earlier, when I was accessing the server by using this IP address as well as the port number, I could not able to access it. Now you see, I'm just refreshing it. I could able to access the Jenkins now. I could able to access the Jenkins. Hope you understood. The firewall is just now the firewall is open. The port number is open. So I did not open a particular port number specifically. So what is the port number that I am opening here? 8080. Even you can try. You see, I'm just going here. I'm just going here to the server, security groups. So instances, select the server, come down, you will have a security option, security groups. And you see here, I have opened all the traffic right now. Let me delete this one. Okay, let me delete this one. How to delete this one? I think we'll be having an option here, edit. Okay, edit the inbound rules. We can delete this. We can save it. And you try to refresh this one now. Okay, try to refresh the same public IP as well as IP address. Now the connection will be usually, okay, there will be no connection now. You see, I'm just trying to access with the help of public IP as well as the port number. Usually the connection will be lost. And let me try in a separate window. We cannot access it now. We cannot access. You see the reason, it is showing like the site cannot be reached. The site cannot be reached. It's an issue of firewall. Since the port number is not enabled, we could not able to access it. Again, if I want to enable, you see here, you can open a particular port number, specific port number. Click on add rule. So what is the port number that we need here? 8080. We need to enable the port number called 8080. I'm just trying to open 8080. You can see now how to open a particular port number. So we have given like I did not enable all the traffic now. edit the inbound rules. What I did, I have selected like custom TCP. And what is the port number that I have enabled? The port number I have enabled is 8080. Once I enabled the port number, I could able to access the Jenkins. You can see here. This is how I can see whether my Jenkins, whether I could able to Jenkins access my Jenkins or not. Okay, so to proceed with the installation, it is asking for the password. Where can I find this password? You see here earlier I have shown you. It has generated some password. I am copying the same password. I am going to paste it here in the administrator password, and then I will just click on continue. That's it. And it is asking whether you want to go with the install suggested plugins or select all the plugins to install. So usually we'll understand like plugin is nothing but a small software only. Plugin is nothing but a some small software only. You'll understand what is plugin later. But it is asking whether you want to go with your selective plugins or you want to go with the suggested plugins. What is the difference? Suggested plugins means, so while the installation itself, during the installation itself, it is asking to go with the suggested plugins itself. By default, it is suggesting some plugins. What are all the plugins that it is suggesting and all? I'll show you. Just once after just selecting this particular one. And you can see all the plugins that are getting installed here. Can you see some plugin like Gradle here? And you see some plugin like Ant. And you also see some plugin like Git. What happens if these plugins doesn't install here? If we do not install these plugins here, so we cannot run any Git commands. We cannot clone any kind of code repositories. And if this Ant plugin is not installed, we cannot go for building the source code by using the build tool like Ant. As I told you, there are various kinds of build tools based on the technology. Like for Java itself, there are multiple build tools. We have Ant, Gradle, Maven. There are many build tools available for Java. So how actually we know which build tool that is being used for a particular project? So developer along with the source code, I told you like developer along with the source code, he will also write a file like pom.xml or .gradle file, .ant file. So usually these kind of files will be there. The type, based on the type of the file, we will identify. Based on the type of the file, based on the extension of the file, you will identify whether it is an Ant, Gradle or Maven. So if it is a pom.xml, definitely the build tool will be Maven. If the developer is writing pom.xml file along with the source code, if the developer is writing a pom.xml, so the preferred build tool is Maven. The build tool that they are using is Maven. So like that we can understand. And usually developer will write along with the source code. If the developer is writing a file called .gradle, file name .gradle, definitely the build tool will be the Gradle. The build procedure, the build commands varies from one technology to another technology. As I told you, if the technology is .NET, if the .NET is the code available, then if I want to build the .NET code, definitely the build tool that we use is MS Build. MS Build is the build tool. So we don't need to remember all these things, but we can go ahead and search in the Google, like what is the build tool for .NET, what is the build tool for Python, what are the build tools that are available for Python, what are the build tools that are available for MS .NET, what are all the build tools that are available for the Java. All these things we can search from the Google. Okay. So I'm just giving the username here. So my plugins, okay, plugins got installed. All the suggested plugins got installed. I have shown you what do you mean by the what is meant by the suggested plugin. Plugin is nothing but a small piece of software. Like if I want to use Git, if I want to run Git commands, Git package must be installed. That is nothing but in the Jenkins, like we are installing in the form of a plugins. If I want to run Maven commands, Maven plugin must be installed here. So I will be calling it as plugin. Okay, Maven plugin, Gradle plugin, and plugin. And there are other plugins also, let's understand. But I'm just giving the name here. If I'm just trying to understand like what is the username. So it is up to you, okay? What is the username and password that you want to set up for this? You can give some email ID also. So this is an optional thing. We can just click on sign in and continue, okay? Email address. I just provided some email address also. I'm just going with save and continue. That's it. And can you see here? It has provided some URL. This is the URL that I'm going to access Jenkins every time. Okay. I'm going to save and finish. That's it. Usually Jenkins will be accessed by using the public IP. Okay. So if you install Jenkins in any of the server, we are going to access the Jenkins by public IP as well as the port number. We will be accessing Jenkins by using the public IP as well as the port number. Got it? So now this is how the Jenkins page looks like. Okay. This is how the Jenkins dashboard looks like. Once you install Jenkins, and this is how the Jenkins dashboard looks like. You can see here some of the items that you can understand very easily here. This is the dashboard. And here we have some items like we have some options like new item, build history, manage Jenkins. Something is there. Okay. You can see the dashboard. This is how the dashboard looks like. This is how the Jenkins dashboard looks like. What is the Jenkins? Jenkins is a CI/CD tool. CI/CD stands for continuous integration and continuous delivery. So what we will do with this tool, we will create some jobs here. We are going to create job. We are going to set up some task. Job is nothing but task. We are going to set up some task, and also set up, we will also set up some, cron schedule. We will also schedule the jobs. We'll set up the jobs and we will schedule them. Scheduling in the sense like I want the job to run every day at 9 a.m. I want the job to run every day at 9 p.m. So we will be configuring a job, and we will also be configuring a schedule. Okay. We'll also be giving some time for the job, so that at that particular time, the job will run and your task will be done automatically. So what all we need to do is in the Jenkins, what all we need to do is we need to know how to configure a job in Jenkins, how to configure a job, how to set up a pipeline. If I'm using the terminology like pipeline, all these things, you'll understand very soon. Jenkins is mainly for setting up the jobs, setting up the pipelines. There are different types of pipelines, you see. There are different types of pipelines. Let us try to create some job and all. I'm just going ahead and creating a new item. I'm giving the name of the job as sample. And when I'm creating a new item, you can see here, I can able to see like whether it is a freestyle job. I can understand like whether it is asking, okay, whenever you are creating a new job, it is asking whether you would like to create a freestyle job, whether you would like to create a pipeline, multi-configuration, folder, multi-branch pipeline. So there are many options here. So there are different types of jobs or pipelines we can create. If I'm referring a word job or pipeline, both are same. If we are going to configure a job, I'm just giving the name of the job as sample. Immediately after giving the name of the job, you see here it is asking whether you want to configure a freestyle job or pipeline job, multi-branch pipeline, which job you want to. So for now, I would like to select a freestyle one. Okay, I'm selecting a freestyle one. I'm just clicking on OK. Okay, when I click on OK, now you can see here, this is how the page opens. Okay, this is the configuration page. This is the configuration page. How actually we set up a job? You see here, we have some options on the left side. You see these are the tabs: general tab, source code management tab, build triggers, build environment, build steps, post build actions. All these are the steps that are available. We can go ahead and we can understand what is the use of each and every one here. Let's start with the source code management. Okay, we'll come to the general, no issues. Okay, let's start with the source code management. Under source code management, we are having an option called Git. Do you know? Why this option came into the picture here? This particular option is showing here because we have installed the Git plugin during the installation of the Jenkins. During the installation of the Jenkins, I have installed Git plugin. That's why I am able to see the option like Git. And there are other source code management tools also. There are other source code management tools also, like Subversion, SVN, okay? Subversion systems. There are other kind of repositories like Subversion systems, but that option is not at all showing. It is showing only Git repository. When I'm selecting Git, it is asking to provide the Git repository URL. But why the option is not showing for the Subversion, for the other kind of things? Let me show you. So if you want to display that particular option here, we need to install the plugin. Without plugin, that option will not be shown. How to install a plugin? We'll go to the dashboard. I'm leaving this job, okay? I'm quitting this job. I'm going to the dashboard. Under the dashboard, we'll be having an option called Manage Jenkins. Click on Manage Jenkins. Under Manage Jenkins, we'll be having Manage Plugins option. Plugins. Can you see plugins? Click on plugins and just go for available plugins, okay? Just go for available plugins and search for the available plugin called SVN. Subversion, can you see? I am able to see the Subversion system. So, okay, I'm selecting the Subversion plugin. This plugin I'm able to select. I am selecting this plugin and I'm going to install. Just click on install. That's it. You can see now, usually what it is suggesting is like once after plugin is installed, it is asking it is asking to restart the Jenkins, but not at all necessary. Not at all required. It is not necessary to restart. Okay. So once the plugin is, you can see the status here itself. Okay. The plugin is successfully installed. It is showing like success. Now I can go to the dashboard again. I can go to my job. Where is my job? This is my job, sample job. This is the sample job I am going to configure. I'll simply click on the job. I'll go to the configure option so that the same page opens again. Okay, these are the steps like earlier. So once I created the job, we need to configure the job. So these are the steps available for me. I have selected the freestyle job. That's the reason why it is showing these steps. And if I go to the source code management tab, can you see one more option is added now? Can you see one more option is added here? Earlier we had only Git. Now one more option is added here, Subversion. Now one more option is added here, which is called Subversion. Like that, we can install plugins. We can install plugins to see more options here. Okay, if you don't have that option, we need to check whether the plugin is available or not. Based on that, we'll get this option here. Hope you understood. Any questions in today's session? We'll understand how to configure a job. Okay, we need some time. So we'll understand how to configure a job in the Jenkins, how we are going to use Jenkins in the further discussions. Any questions in today's session? How to install Jenkins and how to configure Jenkins, how to set up the Jenkins and all? Any questions? Let's discuss.
No, Vamsi.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Let's meet tomorrow. Please go through this. Okay. Please go through this and try to install Jenkins. Okay. And then the tomorrow session, let's see how we are going to configure the jobs in the Jenkins and all. Thank you all.